Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Mystery Theory. Today it's going to be Soft Spoken Wednesday, but it's actually on a Thursday. I've been running behind with the upload schedule, but is covering a case that has been requested quite a lot somewhat recently, and that is the case of Donna Kay Cloud. Now, I have to say that her case, along with a bunch of other cases that you guys suggested to cover, it's one of those cases that do not have a lot of coverage. There are not a lot of information as far as videos or documentaries or interviews or things that I really find more available with other cases that you may know their names. I mean, more popular, hate to say that, but more popular cases. However, when I started to do the research on this one, and even though I have like short one sentence notes around this case, I realized that these are the kind of cases that deserve attention because a lot of people kind of ignore the cases that have something similar to this one, and I think it's sad because in the end you can assume all you want. You can assume that they were dealing drugs. You can assume that they had no good friends. You can assume whatever you want. But in the end, she's still missing. And it's sad to know that not a lot of people is looking for her because of this. And I'm not talking about the family. I'm not talking about the friends. I'm just saying that maybe this was even foul play. And she's not missing, but I feel like there's so little information and things that don't make sense, yet the police can't really prove it. So I know I said a whole lot of nothing if you don't know this story, but for those of you who know a little bit about Donna Kay Cloud, you probably got an idea why this case was so frustrating to research. Now, Donna Kay Cloud went missing from Splendora, Texas when she was 19 years old. And this was back on October 25th, 2016. At the time, she had a 4-year-old boy. So she was a teen mom, and that's kind of an important part of the case, so I thought I should mention it in the beginning. Now, let me go back a little bit. She was last seen on the 25th of October 2016, but she really was texting and calling people afterwards, so it doesn't mean that everything happened on that specific date, even though nothing can be proven. I mean, nothing. All I'm going to share with you is a bunch of compilation from different newspapers and news media outlet, a lot of what people are saying in Reddit in the end, and it's just so frustrating, but okay. According to the family, on October 25th, 2016, she went on a blind date with a guy that she met online. That is the official statement that the family gave to the police when she went missing from Splendora, Texas. Now, just so you have an idea, that cannot be proven. Some people say that was even a lie, that she never met anybody online, and they're probably right because when the police checked, and again, this is what it's available to the public. Maybe the police checked and have other things that they're not sharing. But the police couldn't find any traces of her talking to a guy that she agreed to meet that night. Some people throw an app, something, Plenty of Fish, something like that. I don't remember. Some other people say that she met this guy through Facebook, but when the authorities checked, there was nothing really that they could point to, like, okay, this is where she met this guy and this is who this guy is. He can't be a ghost. I mean, if they met online, there must be something, and they just couldn't find anything. Now, she left on the 25th, and I'll explain a little bit how. But on the 26th, she texts her dad and says, "See you in the morning. The date was nice, and I will call if I need anything." She also said that she'd be home on the 27th around 11 and 11:30, and that she was going to, according to the dad, bring her date that she was going to introduce to the family. She didn't mention the name in the text, and the family did not know this guy that she was supposedly with. Now, again, things are kind of out of order and really not making a whole lot of sense because, again, she left on the 25th. She texts her dad on the 26th, but she's not coming until the 27th. Not your typical blind date, I would say. It almost seemed like maybe she was spending time with a friend that she knew, but I don't think your first date would include a 3-day deal. I don't know. Maybe that was very usual for her. I am not judging or saying anything. I'm just saying that from the outside, it doesn't look like it was somebody she didn't know. Now, some people said that, and again, some people, I'm not even saying authorities, but some people on Reddit said that they knew her and that they knew she was going to meet supposedly that night with a friend of a friend. Okay, I'm throwing it out there just in case you want to know, but it wouldn't make sense either, because even if it was a friend of a friend, that friend of a friend has a name, and probably the police could have traced him and talked to the guy, and up until today we have no name of the guy that she supposedly left with that night. Now, she was supposed to go to this Texas roadhouse. I can't remember the town that she said that she was going to, but when the father went to check with the surveillance cameras, she never made it there. I mean, she was not there. Now, just so you have an idea, her parents didn't know that she didn't know this guy. According to the family, later on they said that they knew that she was going to go on a date, but that they learned later on that that guy was somebody she met online, which can't be proved. Now, according to different text messages, I mean, she told her stepmother in one of the messages while she was away on this date that they were going to rent some movies at Redbox, and she also said something, "If you don't hear from me by 2 a.m., call the cops." I mean, I don't know what the deal is, but the stepmother not freaking out about that. Was that something that they had, like some kind of a routine that they had? Was that a code for something? It's interesting to know that That's what she said to his stepmother. If my daughter was texting me that, I'd be tracking her down and bringing her home. I mean, that doesn't sound like I'm going on a date and I'm going to have fun. No, that sounded like this guy is kind of creepy. I don't know, he's kind of weird, but what's up with the 2 a.m. thing? She would keep her parents up until 2 if she called, and they can go to bed. If not, I don't get it. But that's one of the text messages that the stepmother received. Now, you're probably wondering, who was this guy? What was he driving? What was his name? Well, they said that, she was picked up by this guy, supposedly, and left with him in the car. The parents were there when she left, but they didn't look out to see the car that she got into. They didn't see the guy that was driving this vehicle, and again, they had no idea the name of their daughter's date. So at this point, the family started to be looked at in a different way. People were starting to make their own theories of, why wouldn't you know where your 19-year-old daughter is going? Who is she going with? But again, we have the other side where a 19-year-old, you are a grown-up. You're an adult. You have a child. And maybe the parents didn't want to intrude in her life. But it's kind of interesting that they have no idea who this guy is. And that, that's not even a big thing if they were not close. But that they didn't even check outside to see the car that she was going out into the state with, or the guy that she was going with. Again, it can be something that can be attributed to giving their daughter privacy and the freedom to choose for herself, and not being involved or not being too close as far as that. It's totally a possibility. But for some people, that was the first red flag. Now, she was reported missing. And, there's not much on that either. But later on, the rumor started spreading that somebody saw her in the Cleveland area. This was not confirmed at first. This was a rumor that somebody found her in the Cleveland area. Now, there was this PI donating his time to try to find her. And the PI, or private investigator, sent this message. And I'm going to paraphrase here. And he said this to the father: "Your daughter is alive and fine. Doesn't want to speak to you because of y'all's argument. However, she is not at risk." Now, the father at that time, he admits having an argument with her, and the argument happening before she left that day. Now, the PI with that text message kind of confirmed that there was no foul play and no harm done, and that she was in Cleveland with his male friend, and that was everything that he was going to disclose. Now, with that kind of text message, you assume that the guy talked to her, right? Because, listen, how would you know that they had a fight and that she's mad at the dad because they had a fight? It must have been something that she said, right? Well, wrong. The PI never talked to her, and I have no idea how he came to the conclusions of that this is what happened. Maybe he was investigating the family and he knew that all these things were going on. And when he saw somebody that looked like her, or I'm assuming that he did, because otherwise I don't know how a professional private investigator would assume all these things and say, hey, in fact, your daughter is alive, when he didn't even see her. So I'm assuming that he either saw her or saw somebody that looked like her, but never talked to her. Now, the father, at this point, he had set up a GoFundMe account for the search efforts, and the people started to be very suspicious. I mean, it was not only about what I mentioned before, about them having no idea who was she living with, but now the father all of a sudden cared, and now all of a sudden he wanted to find her and he needed money for that. There was even at one point that the account got frozen because of all this, people talking about it and saying how the guy was profiting from his daughter being missing. Now, I am just telling you what people were saying and why. It is kind of sad that people believe that at the time, and yes, there are cases where this is true. They're profiting from somebody being missing, and then in the end they were somewhat related to their disappearance, and it happens. But I mean, it's just one of those things that unless you have a very strong theory, I wouldn't jump to conclusions. That's all I'm gonna say. But just so you know, because some people get excited and they get mad at me, I am not saying that I agree with that statement. I'm just telling you things that were happening at the time. Now, the dad also made a Facebook post, and in that Facebook post you could see that he was really mad at her for leaving and not telling anybody. Because according to the PI, she was alive and well and she was living her life in the Cleveland area. Later on, he retracted this because of the not 100% confirmation of the PI. The PI said, hey, I didn't really talk to your daughter, but I believe that she's alive and well. Not good enough. The PI was really upset at this family. The information that they were given was not consistent. It didn't make sense. And they do this for a living, so they know that if it doesn't make sense, it's usually not true. At some point, he decided not to help in this investigation anymore because he believed that she was alive and well, even though we learned that it was unconfirmed. And because of the argument, he believed that she left. Now, going back to the GoFundMe account, they made less than $500. I think less than $400. So if you were trying to go crazy with the theory that the family were making money, yeah, I don't know how $500, less than $400 or $500 is going to help you. The PI called this a ridiculous case, and that he wasn't going to help. And this is something that he said. I mean, this guy used to donate his time to find adults that went missing, but after this one, he realized that he was not interested anymore in helping in this kind of cases, and that he would focus on something more on the lines of a child being abducted or missing. And again, I don't know, I mean, it kind of makes sense, but at the same time, did he go by the sightings of people, but never talked to her, assumed everything and sent that text message to the dad? Not professional, even if you're mad at the family, especially if you're mad at the family. There's a 4-year-old boy that stayed with his dad that is missing his mom, and now you all of a sudden are confirming that the girl left because of the argument with the dad, which could be, and left her son, could be, but then never mind, that wasn't true. It's something I assumed. I don't know. There was a lot of disagreement in the phone thing too. Okay. The grandpa mentioned that, and I think this was in some kind of an interview, a short piece of this. Grandpa said that that Donna called him, and she told him that she was going to bring this guy around 11 or 11:30. Let me explain. He also said that she was very active on social media and that she had a phone. The parents even mentioned that they took her to go get a new phone at Walmart, and I don't know. You can see some pictures of her taking selfies, and you can see that she's taking them with an iPhone. Why is this important? Well, let me tell you. According to the family, she was hanging out with the wrong crowd. And according to the police, she had no phone. They couldn't find a phone. And I am sure that they gave the police a phone number. I'm sure that yet the police couldn't do anything with the information that they were given. They couldn't confirm the blind date. And what they know at this point, the police do know, is that the last interaction that she had with somebody was an argument with her dad. Again, the parents did confirm that they bought that phone at Walmart. And they even said, and this is where things start to look a little bit shady, is that they traced her phone and that she made multiple stops that night, and that they believed that because she was hanging out with the wrong crowd, that she was probably dealing drugs in each of those stops. So 30 stops? Was she drug dealing? But didn't Dad say that she was on a blind date? And why would he be keeping tabs on? Okay. And why didn't he say something before? Why? Okay, so many questions. What I'm trying to share with you is how people started to see this as shady. Now, the police contact with the grandmother about Donna's disappearance. And they do not really report to the parents because, according to the police statement, the family members are not helping but obstructing the investigation. Apparently, the parents, or the father, went into her Facebook account and started deleting stuff from her page and friends from her page. Yeah, not the typical thing that you see a father do as soon as they have a daughter missing. Just really, it's all over the place at this point. So let's go and dig a little bit deeper because it gets worse. Now, they had a $1,000 reward, which I think is so sad that there's only $1,000 out there for people to call, and if it leads to finding Donna, they would get the $1,000. You know that's a much bigger amount for other cases. So they decided to do a big sale and raffle, but while they were there, the this guy took the money. Yeah, somebody stole the money, the raffle money. The guy previously was around and he even said you would find her dead anyways. I don't know if he just meant that he knew that she was not with good people, that she was involved in something illegal, and he didn't believe that she was going to be alive. But I don't know if there's footage of this guy, if there's pictures. I'm hoping that they caught this guy. I'm gonna say it in past because this was some time ago. No. Okay, let me play the other side, okay? A lot of people believe that all the stops that Donna made maybe were not Donna's stops, and that it would be a great excuse for getting rid of evidence if anything happened to her before that time. Maybe somebody got rid of her, killed her, and made all the stops on purpose with her phone. So it would look like she was driving around town. The police had a really hard time believing the family. It's just because it doesn't make sense. And let's go back to statistics. When the family is missing a family member, it doesn't matter how involved in drugs they are, how, maybe they are doing something illegal. The ones that are going to find out and share that information is going to be the police. Yet, this family, and I'm talking about the father and stepmother. I'm not going to say anything about the grandparents because I don't think they had anything to do with this rumor. But the parents started saying that they were kind of throwing shade at her. I mean, they started saying that she was doing drugs, that she had bad friends, and that the stops that she made were drug runs. And they also even gave some examples of her friends that were busted for meth. Have you heard of a parent talking about this way and their missing daughter? It doesn't matter if it's an adult or a younger girl. No. So this was kind of odd. There was this guy that was saying that, parents usually see their kids, or even adult kids, what I call adult kids, through some rose-colored glasses. I mean, they can see or they can do no wrong while they're missing. And some of these families know that their kids are addicts, and they know that, they have bad friends, but yet they don't talk about it. It's kind of a syndrome that you get when somebody in your family is missing. You can't bring yourself to dirtying their memories. And the family, when they were interviewed, they were more worried about telling everyone how they were being bullied, and how they were enduring all the cyberbullying, and how the BI sighting were not confirmed. So even though that they claim that they do all these things to keep her name in the news and people remembering her and hopefully find her, the image that the family portrayed really is what made people not be so interested in this case as maybe in some other cases of missing adults. The family gave these people, the public, a reason to question them, and they will. I mean, if you give them a reason, they don't need one, and they will do it anyways, but you're giving them a reason. So a lot of things don't really make sense. I forget to mention too that they found her wallet, her ID, her clothes, and her debit card at the house, at her parents' house where she lived. So you mean to tell the police that she left on a 2-day date, blind date, with no money, no clothes, no ID. And, the police also, with the parents tracing the IP location, meant that she needed Wi-Fi in order for them to track that way through the IP location. I have no idea. This is something that I read, and you're welcome to correct me. But according to what I read, to get the IP location of that phone that she was using that day, she needed to connect to Wi-Fi. And this was a search done by the father. Also, something that I should have mentioned in the beginning, she turned on the location thing before leaving, which is another indication that she either didn't feel safe, or if somebody killed her or did something to her, maybe they turned that on, moved around the phone to make it look like she was still around in town. Now, why did the police not track this phone? The father tried to make it look like the police were not interested in tracking her phone, and that he knew and that he tracked the phone because he really needed to know where she's been, and he was sure that she was stopping so much because she was dealing drugs. So now we have a girl that we cannot, the police cannot confirm that she had a blind date or even a date that night. We don't know who this mystery guy is. We don't know if he even exists. We know that she turned on the tracker. And we know also that more than likely if you meet somebody online, especially in one of those apps, you talk about them. You say things like, look at this picture, this is the guy that I'm going to meet. And she never did that. So all we have is some texts that allegedly she sent in a call that the grandfather said that he got from her, saying that she was coming at 11 or 11:30. Again, the stepmom mentioned that she was going to bring the guy. The grandpa, not so much. The grandparents are devastated. And really you can see the difference now between maybe an angry father who believes that the daughter just left, or maybe, family that has something to do with what happened to her or knows something, and the grandparents who you can tell that they have no idea what happened. And they only talk about how wonderful she is and how much they miss her. So there are a few theories, like the number one, the blind date abduction. Not likely. They couldn't prove that she left with a guy. We can only say that the parents said that she left with a guy, but they don't know the kind of car that he was driving or who was this guy. The second one is that she ran away from home, which is the PI theory. But if she did run away, why can't the PI confirm anything? Just to show a picture and say, hey, she's alive. And the third theory is that the family had something to do. And I'm talking about the father, maybe stepmother. And that after this fight, nothing can be confirmed. All we can confirm is the last interaction that she had with her father, and it was a fight. But after that, not the blind date. Nobody's seen her at this 30 stops that she made. Nothing can be confirmed. The only thing is that the grandfather got a call saying that she was going to go visit between 11 and 11:30. Now, I don't know. Maybe somebody pretended to be Donna. Maybe somebody who has a similar voice. Maybe that person called from Donna's phone. That's another theory. But up until this point, we can't really say, oh, this looks like what happened. Unless the family was involved, or, the parents I'm talking about, knew about her drug dealing thing, and maybe they're involved, and maybe they're afraid for their lives. There are so many questions, and it really, no disrespect, I'm just sharing with you what it's been said about this case and the different theories that people threw out there. It's not my theory. But I'm gonna finish this story and this case here by leaving her information in the description box down below and where you can contact in case you've seen her, know anything about this case. But I'm going to end this by saying how sad is it that depending on the kind of girl you've been is how worth you are finding or not. I hear people say, oh, there was a drive-by shooting, and yeah, probably drug related. Yep, probably. Still, nobody deserves to die. You don't know the circumstances why they got involved in something so horrible. Maybe they can't get out of it. Just think about it. Those kids are somebody else's kids. I remember a year ago, there was a time where a few miles away from us, there were a couple of them. And there was a 19-year-old girl, and I thought to myself, people were like, you shouldn't get involved in that if you don't want to be. And I'm like, it's sad. It's sad. It's sad because at 19, you can make mistakes. Mistakes can be very bad mistakes if they're this kind. But she still was loved by somebody. I'm sure somebody's missing her today. And I'm sure all the cases where, people attribute to gangs or, they all have a story and why they ended up where they ended up. So even if Donna was dealing drugs, even if she had bad friends, even if she was not the perfect daughter, I think this case needs more attention. I think this case needs more digging. And I'm not talking about the police doing not a good job at it. I'm just saying that maybe some fresh eyes can come from a different place and look at the evidence and look at the things that they know are true. You just wish and hope that she's alive and well, even in Cleveland with her male partner. I do. And it wouldn't be the first time that a mother left a son. It wouldn't be. It happens, okay, guys? It's just the way it is. I'm not saying that it's right, but I'm saying that it happens. And sometimes people believe that once you have a kid, you're never going to leave him. Newsflash. Not 100% of the time. So, I wish he was somewhere else. I wish he's safe. Maybe escaping from something that she had at home that she didn't want. I really can't tell you. But I hope to bring awareness to this case, and I hope to show you a completely different case from the ones that I share with you here, where, you know, thousands and thousands of dollars are raised if they, you know, in case somebody knows about them, and leads to finding them, you know, the reward that they get. In this case being so, yeah, well, she was not in with good friends, and she was probably dealing drugs, so I almost feel like people don't think it's as important. Some people even thought that she was hiding and she was trying to make money with her dad, and gosh, I don't know. It's just devastating to think that sometimes some horrible things happen that make us wonder everything, question everything. And sometimes in a good way, and sometimes not so much. So I don't care if she was not the perfect daughter. I don't care if she got pregnant when she was young. I don't care that she had bad friends. I think everyone needs to be, deserves to be found. And if she's running away from something back home, I hope she's okay. But I hope that this kind of shows us that not every single missing person case is the same. Not every single case is treated the same way by the authorities, by the families, by the public. And cases like this slip through the cracks and become a name on a website, telling you how many tattoos she had, the color of her hair, and some selfies. So, the Warriors series is coming back, and you guys recommended a lot of these cases that are not so well known, so I'm going to focus on those first, and I'm going to bring back this series because no matter how good or bad of a daughter or a son you are, if you're missing, everyone should know. Everyone should keep an eye out. Thanks for being here today, guys. And if you have anything that you'd like to add to this case, if you know the family, if you're from the area, if you have something that you read, you're welcome to share it down below. Just keep it respectful. And I'll see you back here in my next video. Bye.